I don't want to see more American lives put at risk because no one had the judgment or the courage to stand up against a misguided war before we sent our troops into fight. I don't want to see homeless veterans on the streets. I don't want to send another generation of American children to failing schools. I don't want that future for my daughters. I don't want that future for your sons. I do not want that future for America. I'm in this race for the same reason that I fought for jobs for the jobless and hope for the hopeless on the streets of Chicago. For the same reason I fought for justice and equality as a civil rights lawyer. For the same reason that I fought for Illinois families for over a decade. Because I will never forget that the only reason that I'm standing here today is because somebody somewhere stood up for me when it was risky. Stood up when it was hard. Stood up when it wasn't popular. And because that somebody stood up, a few more stood up. And then a few thousand stood up. And then a few million stood up. And standing up. With courage and clear purpose, they somehow managed to change the world. That's why I'm running, Iowa, to give our children and grandchildren the same chances somebody gave me. That's why I'm running, Democrats, to keep the American dream alive. For those who still hunger for opportunity, who still thirst for equality. That's why I'm asking you to stand with me, that's why I'm asking you to caucus for me. That's why I am asking you to stop settling for what the cynics say we have to accept. In this election, in this moment, let us reach for what we know is possible. A nation healed. A world repaired. An America that believes again. Thank you very much, everybody. Barack Obama. Address at the Jerusalem International Convention Center. Delivered March 21, 2013, Jerusalem, Israel. Shalom. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Everybody, please have a seat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it is a great honor to be with you here in Jerusalem. And I'm so grateful for the welcome that I've received from the people of Israel. Thank you. I bring with me the support of the American people and the friendship that binds us together. Over the last 2 days, I've reaffirmed the bonds between our countries with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Peres. I've borne witness to the ancient history of the Jewish people at the shrine of the book. And I've seen Israel's shining future in your scientists and your entrepreneurs. This is a nation of museums and patents, timeless holy sites and groundbreaking innovation. Only in Israel could you see the Dead Sea Scrolls and the place where the technology on board the Mars rover originated at the same time. But what I've most looked forward to is the ability to speak directly to you. The Israeli people, especially so many young people who are here today to talk about the history that brought us here today. and the future that you will make in the years to come. Now, I know that in Israel's vibrant democracy, every word, every gesture is carefully scrutinized. But I want to clear something up just so you know any drama between me and my friend. Bibi, over the years was just a plot to create material for Eretz Ederet. That's the only thing that was going on. We just wanted to make sure the writers had good material. I also know that I come to Israel on the eve of a sacred holiday, the celebration of Passover. And that is where I would like to begin today. Just a few days from now, Jews here in Israel and around the world will sit with family and friends at the Seder table. And celebrate with songs, wine, and symbolic foods. After enjoying Seders with family and friends in Chicago and on the campaign trail. I'm proud that I've now brought this tradition into the White House. I did so because I wanted my daughters to experience the Haggadah. And the story at the center of Passover that makes this time of year so powerful. It's a story of centuries of slavery, and years of wandering in the desert. A story of perseverance amidst persecution, and faith in God and the Torah. It's a story about finding freedom in your own land. And for the Jewish people, this story is central to who you've become. But it's also a story that holds within it the universal human experience. With all of its suffering, but also all of its salvation. It's a part of the three great religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam that trace their origins to Abraham, and see Jerusalem as sacred. And it's a story that's inspired communities across the globe, including me and my fellow Americans. In the United States, a nation made up of people who crossed oceans to start. Anew, we're naturally drawn to the idea of finding freedom in our land. To African Americans, the story of the Exodus was perhaps the central story. The most powerful image about emerging from the grip of bondage to reach for liberty and human dignity. A tale that was carried from slavery through the civil rights movement into today. For generations, this promise helped people weather poverty and persecution. While holding on to the hope that a better day was on the horizon. For me, personally, growing up in far-flung parts of the world and without firm roots. The story spoke to a yearning within every human being for a home. Of course, even as we draw strength from the story of God's will and His gift of freedom expressed on Passover. We also know that here on earth we must bear our responsibilities in an imperfect world. That means accepting our measure of sacrifice and struggle, just like previous generations. It means us working through generation after generation on behalf of that ideal of freedom. As Dr. Martin Luther King said on the day before he was killed, "I may not get there with you. But I want you to know that we, as a people, will get to the promised land." So just as Joshua carried on after Moses, the work goes on for all of you. The Joshua generation, for justice and dignity, For opportunity and freedom. For the Jewish people, the journey to the promise of the State of Israel wound through countless generations. It involved centuries of suffering and exile, prejudice and pogroms and even genocide. Through it all, the Jewish people sustained their unique identity and traditions, as well as a longing to return. Home. And while Jews achieved extraordinary success in many parts of the world, the dream of true freedom finally found its full expression in the Zionist idea to be a free people in your homeland. That's why I believe that Israel is rooted not just in history and tradition, but also in a simple and profound idea, the idea that people deserve to be free in a land of their own. Over the last 65 years, when Israel has been at its best, Israelis have demonstrated that responsibility does not end when you reach the promised land, it only begins. And so Israel has been a refuge for the diaspora. Welcoming Jews from Europe, from the former Soviet Union, from Ethiopia, from North Africa. Israel has built a prosperous nation through kibbutzim that made the desert bloom, business that broadened the middle class. Innovators who reached new frontiers, from the smallest microchip to the orbits of space. Israel has established a thriving democracy, with a spirited civil society and proud political parties. And a tireless free press, and a lively public debate. Lively may even be an understatement. And Israel has achieved all this even as it's overcome relentless threats to its security through the courage of the Israel Defense Forces, and the citizenry that is so resilient in the face of terror. This is the story of Israel. This is the work that has brought the dreams of so many generations to life. And every step of the way, Israel has built unbreakable bonds of friendship with my country. The United States of America. Those ties began only 11 minutes after Israeli independence. When the United States was the first nation to recognize the State of Israel. As President Truman said in explaining his decision to recognize Israel, he said, "I believe it has a glorious future before it, not just as another sovereign nation, but as an embodiment of the great ideals of our civilization." And since then, we've built a friendship that advances our shared interests. Together, we share a commitment to security for our citizens. And the stability of the Middle East and North Africa. Together, we share a focus on advancing economic growth around the globe. And strengthening the middle class within our own countries. Together, we share a stake in the success of democracy. But the source of our friendship extends beyond mere interests. Just as it has transcended political parties and individual leaders. America is a nation of immigrants. America is strengthened by diversity. America is enriched by faith. We are governed not simply by men and women, but by laws. We're fueled by entrepreneurship and innovation. and we are defined by a democratic discourse that allows each generation to reimagine and renew our union once more. So in Israel, we see values that we share, even as we recognize what makes us different. That is an essential part of our bond.